Okay, Master Gardeners, I got a surprise in the mail. I had ordered a bare root tree I had totally forgotten about. So instead of just planting it, I saved it for you. So here you go. What do you do when you purchase a bare root? It comes wrapped in newspaper in a plastic bag. First thing you do, you soak it in a bucket of water overnight. Usually just overnight, not much longer than that because you gotta have air to the roots. So don't soak it in water too long. But that kind of reconstitutes them, make sure they're nice and moist. And then this morning I wrapped it in this wet towel and I just left it sitting like this all day. And so now I'm ready to plant. So I've come out here into my yard. I've chosen an area in the turf. I've skimmed all the turf off so that I'm down to, now I have a big compost pile, so I just skim this off and recycle it. In your own yard, you might want to just incorporate this into your hole and lift out some of the roots, but there's a lot of nutrition in those, but it's not going to waste. So I've done a 3-foot wide hole. You want a nice wide hole when you're planting a tree because we're finding that it's not the depth of the roots, it's this width that they really prefer. So I've dug it nice and wide. The next thing you have to do is incorporate a little bit of organic matter, not too much, because I want this tree to become adapted to my soil. And if it's not going to adapt to my soil, I want to know now. I don't want to wait 5 years and then find out, oh, my tree dislikes heavy clay soil, so I don't want to wait. If it's going to be happy in my soil, I'll know within the first year or so. Now the second step is, so I've already incorporated the organic matter. You'll see the black stuff mixed in here. Not too much. Now, I pull my bare root tree out. Let's look at this up close to see where is the root flare. When we look at this root system, we can see a large root coming off on this side and some larger roots on this side coming out. So I also can see some lighter color yellow here. Isn't that odd that that's discoloring above the first set of roots? You know what it tells me? This tree was planted too deep while it was in the nursery. That should not be that light colored. It has not gotten the light that it needed. My objective today is to plant this at the first set of roots coming out of here and make sure that line right across there is at the surface of my soil. If you plant a tree too deep, you're not going to see trouble come quick, but in 7 to 10 years later, then your tree starts showing symptoms. So that's the line we're trying to achieve. And I'll know it by seeing this little blonde portion. It should be above my soil. It's not going to be easy to do, but let's try to plant this. So my soil's nice and loose because I've turned it all over. I pulled out most of the root systems. And I'm going to put my little tree right in the middle here in a hole. And I'm going to make a little mound to spread my roots over top of. Actually, that's a little high. Let's go right about there. And I've got a little mound. I'm going to try to spread these roots so that some go to the north, some go to the south, some go to the east, and some go to the west. So I'm going to try to spread them out as best I can. It looks like this little tree was not grown very efficiently where it was. It sure does seem that it's got a weird taproot going off to the side. I don't know if it was poorly transplanted when it was young or what. So I'm trying to get those roots down in there, down in the hole, get them spread out. All right, I feel like I've done that. Now it looks like I'm a little bit deep, so I'm going to gently lift this some. I'm going to lift it up as I go. And I'm going to pat it in. If I was putting in a container-grown plant, I might use my foot to firm it, but for this, I think it's sufficient to have my hand. So I'm trying to firm it, get some of that soil in there, it's obviously going to be a little wobbly. Actually, that's pretty sturdy. Look, pretty sturdy in there. So that's good. And I'll find my little line. You can't see it very well, but there's a little root right there. So I like my depth. I see my little root right there. I don't want it too deep. I'm going to put a little donut hole around here. Kind of like my little donut. The reason I've made such a wide hole is I've got this really expensive weed block material. It's called an old recycled bag. So if you got an old bird feed bag, the one big competitor I'm going to have with my new tree here is weeds. So this is going to prevent me from getting weeds. I leave this on for only about a year, and after that I'll cut it out of there and take it off. So I'm going to mulch her in good. Sometimes if the soil's not moist, I'll water it even before I do this step of mulching. I'm going to put 2 inches of mulch around here. I'm going to cover my plastic. I'm going to pull that mulch away from the bark because I don't want any mulch touching the bark. You can entice little borer insects to attack your tree if you've got too much mulch touching the tree trunk. I'm trying to keep my tree moist for the next year. I'm trying to keep the weeds down, and this also protects it from my husband, who is also might run into it with his mower, I'm sorry to say. So that's another one thing I have to defend against. So I'm cleaning up down in here, got my little donut hole, and I have another problem in my neighborhood, and it's called deer. Last year I put a yellow magnolia over here, and that little buck got to it and destroyed the bark. So I'm gonna put a fence around it. I noticed this little tree's not very straight. You're probably thinking, why didn't she stake it? But I'm not gonna bother to stake it. The movement of the tree itself in the wind allows it to develop and get sturdier roots. So you can really hurt yourself by staking a tree, and only do it if it's necessary, if it's really crooked. So if I find this guy has problems, I might stake it later on. But other than that, it's fine. So you're probably wondering what kind of tree it is. This is a Cladastris kentuckia. So it used to be Cladastris lutea. They've changed the name. So its common name is yellowwood. And it has a really peculiar history in the fact that it's native to Kentucky, North Carolina, and then there's another whole group of them down in the Indiana and Illinois area. So it's kind of scattered. Even though it's native to those states, it's not even common down there. So it has this real scattered history of little groves of it here or there, but what an amazing native tree. It makes white, pendulous, creamy colored flowers that are as beautiful as wisteria flowers. And the summer green color is a light green foliage that's really a different shade than most of your other shade trees. So that's pretty cool. And then it has a winter interest because it has smooth gray bark, a lot like an American beech, and it has a gorgeous, the frame of it is wide and spreading and just beautiful winter interest bark. So 3 ornamental characteristics on it. Pretty cool tree. It's called yellowwood because it has yellow wood. There's one big troublemaker with it though, and it would be pruning. It has really weak branching principles. So I'm gonna have to really watch this guy and make sure it develops the proper type of branching crotches inside of it. It's a bleeder, which is the term that we use for trees that when they're pruned in spring, the sap just continues to flow. So we can't prune it in spring, but in mid-summertime, I'm gonna have to make sure that the branching crotches of the tree are similar to my hand and thumb area. This is the type of crotch that's healthy, not the kind that are like this with an upright. So I have to watch that. They said if you don't control the branching in its young years, when it turns 30 years of age, every branch can break off in a winter storm. So that's dangerous. But it's a good native tree, loved by butterflies, loved by pollinators, and I'm sure you're gonna love it too.